Alright, today we're going to talk about relationships in physics. In physics, it is very important to understand how one variable relates to another. You will have relationship test questions on almost every unit. So what does all this mean, right? Well, in physics, you get a bunch of equations, right? And you can see that these equations have no numbers in them. Sometimes they have numbers in them, but most of the time they don't, okay? It's just a bunch of letters that represent something. So here we have E equals 1/2 mv squared, right? So let's go ahead and see how all these relate to each other. They don't mean anything now, but as we move later into physics and we learn what these letters mean, they'll start to have more meaning. Okay? So let's do number A through D. I should say letter A through D, right? So what is the relationship between E and V? Well, let's see. Let's go ahead and break these up into parentheses, okay? So instead of leaving it like this, it's going to be E, right? This is just so you can see how it works right now. As you get better, you don't have to do this. Right, we have a 1/2. We have an M. Zoom in a little bit. Okay. And then we have a V squared. So, what is the relationship between E and V? Right? We can see that V is squared, right? So, what happens if we increase V? If we increase V, E should go up, right? If we assume that nothing happens to these, so say M stays the same and 1/2 stays the same, right? If we bring this up, what do you think is going to happen to E? Well, obviously E is also going to go up, right? What if I brought E down? Right? So let's say E goes down. What's going to happen to V squared? Well, it's also going to go down. Okay? So we could write, I know I should have spaced this a little bit better, but as V increases, E increases. Okay. So we started off simple. So now let's get specific, right? Before it was just the relationship. What happens when one increases? The other increases. What happens when E decreases? V decreases. So now let's go ahead and be specific. What happens? Ooh, camera. Alright, what happens if V is doubled? Okay? What happens to E if V is doubled? Well, let's find out. So, again, my parentheses for now. Later on, once you get comfortable, you don't have to do this. So if I have E, right, we can actually ignore the other ones. So I'll show you what I mean. So we don't have to worry about these two. We're going to double V. So instead of V, now it's 2V. Okay? And I still keep the squared. Okay? But we're only worried about E and V, right? So let's go ahead and ignore these for now. You'll still have to plug them in later on, but when we look at the relationship, we don't have to worry about these two, right? We're only worried about E and V. So E is now equal to 2V squared. But check this out. It's squared, right? So that 2 isn't just a 2, okay? It actually becomes, let me go ahead and separate this. It becomes E equals 4V squared, okay? So the square didn't change, right? See how V squared and V squared, it stayed the same, but now there's a 4 in front of it. So when V doubles, what happens to E? Well, it went up by 4. So since this new E is 4 times V, we can say that E increases by 4. Okay? Alright. So now let's jump over to M. So E is equal to 1/2 M, and then we're going to put V squared because that's the original equation, right? But we're worried about E and M, so let's go ahead and cross off this for now and this. So what happens if I increase E? So what if E goes up? Well, M is going to go up. What if E goes down? Well, M will also go down. Okay, so you could actually write that as M increases or decreases. Let's put that to make it more specific, right? Then E will also increase or decreases in that order, okay? Ooh, this is a tricky one, right? Let's read this. What is the effect on E if the mass is halved and the velocity is tripled? Man, this is a two-step problem, man. This is pretty difficult. So let's see how we're going to do this, okay? Alright, so here we saw it went up by 4, but this is going to have a bunch of crazy nonsense. Alright? So E is equal to 1/2 M V squared. We're only worried about changing the mass and the velocity, so we don't need this half. Okay, so I'm gonna put a comma. You can separate it however you want, okay? Maybe a squiggly line, if that's more comfortable. So we're gonna have E is equal to, now we put a 1/2 in front of the M, right? Let me put this. This is E prime. Okay, if you haven't seen that before in math, it's just a new way to represent E. So this is the new E, okay? So we got E prime is equal to 1/2. Oops, sorry about that. Should be 1/2 of the M. Mass is halved. Times the velocity is tripled, so I put 3V squared. So what does this new E look like, right? So you can even plug it in up here earlier since I didn't, so E prime. Okay, but let's focus on this. So we got E prime equals 1/2 M parentheses 3V squared. Remember, that squared needs to be distributed. If you remember from algebra, it's going to go to both. Okay, so this new E prime is going to equal 1/2 M times, okay, 9, right? 3 squared is 9. Here, how about I write that out so you see what I'm doing? So we got 3 squared times V squared. So now I can just combine everything, if you remember from algebra. If not, we'll see it again. So E prime is equal to, so we got to multiply 1/2 times M times 9 times V squared. So one more step. I know it's a little long. I could have done it in shorter steps, but I want you to see every single thing that's happening, okay? So now I can put this 9 over here, right? We're multiplying a 9 and a 1/2, so it's 9/2. It's a pretty long video, so if you need to pause in between, that's perfectly okay. So we got 9/2 MV squared. Okay, so pause the video and try to figure out what I did there, okay? If your math skills are a little bit weak, just pause the video and you can see how I got to where I got. If not, remember, tutorials are every Tuesday after school. Okay? So what happens when you half the mass and triple the velocity? Well, the new one, see, look at the old one. Old one is mv squared, right? This new one is 9/2 mv squared. Okay? So, this one, E, increases by 9/2. Okay?